In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create an activity for students in SeeSaw. So this is my class page, and we're in the journal. And over here we've got some tabs, and the second tab across here is the Activities tab. So we're going to click on this to create an activity. And once we click on that tab and we scroll down to the bottom, we can see Browse the Activity Library. We're going to click on that, and that's going to load. Now once it's loaded, we've got two tabs again, Community and My Library. So I'm going to click on My Library, and again once it's loaded we can see all my activities here, and you can see I've got 41 in total, so I can click on this one to view them all. But over here we're going to create a new activity, and when you see the new Create a New Activity page, it comes in three sections. We've got the activity name, the student instructions, and we've got a template for student responses, and we need to complete all three of these to make an activity. I've started to create or fill out the three boxes here, so I've created my activity name as Create an Activity. We'll leave the student instructions for the moment, and now I'm going to click on the third one to add a template for student responses. So I'm going to click on this, and we've got these options here. I'm going to click on the drawing option because that allows me to create a template within SeeSaw that the students can work with. So I'm going to click on drawing, and we're going to use a range of these tools here. So I'm going to make an onset and rhyme activity. So what I'm going to do is simply click on the text tool, and I'm going to create an onset sound. Now by default, down here you can see that the text box has got a black line around it, and I can change the color over here on the right hand side by sliding the slider. So I'm going to make this green, and I'm just going to add an initial sound, B, and I can now, once I've pressed enter and clicked off the box, you can see it becomes active, and I can scale it, or I can get it to the size I want. I want it to be square, and we can now, let's leave it at that size, we can now click on the ellipsis here and we can do some basic editing. So let's change the style. Click on this, change the style. I want mine to be a green background with white text out of this, and we got left align, center, and right align. I want to right align this text, and we'll leave it like that. So I'm going to copy this now, and I'm going to make the rhyme tile. So what we could do here now is we can just click in here. Let's do AT, and again same thing. I want to change the style of this, so I'm going to now make sure this is yellow. That'll do. And I'm going to click on here and again use the left align this time. So they're where I want them to be. Just click it across here a little bit. There we go. Now I can duplicate this. Click on duplicate. You could also use Control C, Control V. Let's do IG, and you can just keep on making these onset and rhyme tiles. Now what I like to do is, once I've set these up, I like to create a space for the students to drag their words into. So let's now create a jar to put these in. So I'm going to click on the ellipsis here, and I'm going to click on the shapes tool. I'm going to grab this tool here, and I'm going to make this shape here, sorry. I'm going to grab a jar, make a jar, and I'm going to use the style function again, and I'm going to click on style, and I want it to be an outline, and I'm going to make it purple. That'll do. So here's my jar. I want to make a jar lid, so let's come onto here. Let's click on shapes again. I'm going to use a square shape this time, not a rounded rectangle, and I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to make that a jar that sits on top like this, a lid, sorry, and I'm going to go up to purple, about there, that'll do. there is my jar. And now I'm going to put some text over the top, and I'm going to make sure this is centered, and I'm going to make it 80 words, and I want this to be style again. This time I want it to be white out, and I can put this on top like that. So these are my AT words. Now I want the students to drop this down here, so what I want to do now is lock all this stuff in place. So I'm going to click on this one here, click on this, and use the lock function so it's locked in place. I'm going to click on the text as well and lock this in place, and click on this one and lock this in place. So this won't move now, it can't move, and the students can now drag content down into here. So the last thing to do, I'd make another one with IG words, and I might have it words, so the students can make as many words as they can with the green onset and the yellow rhyme. So we need to give them enough opportunities to do that. So what I like to do now is, I'll put this up here, I like to kind of make a separation so the students can drag these things down. So let's just drag this up to here, and stylistically we could add a shape like this bar. So I'm now just going to put this bar up here so the students know this is where they draw down from, and they fill the jars up down here. So now I'm going to just click on this and control and copy and paste these. So Control C or Command C, and then Control or Command V depending on your computer. And so I'm just going to put a whole load of these in place here like this, so that the students have lots of opportunities to make as many B words as they like. And I'm just pulling these out so you can see what I'm doing. Doesn't really matter what order they go in. So now I'm just going to stack them on top like this, and so it looks like there's only one letter, but the students won't run out of tiles, and so we are just creating this resource like this. So, and then I would do the same with the at rhymes and the IG rhymes and the IT rhymes that we put in there. So now the students, when they come to do this activity, they would click on the move tool, click on this, drag this down to here, click on the at word and bring that down into here, and we'd get them to then record it, and we'll do that in the instructions in a moment. Obviously I would continue and make this whole resource that the student's going to fill out before I moved on, but let's just assume I've completed it, and what I need to do now is I need to click on the tick, and this will take us back to the create new activity object here, and we can see my template has now been attached, and the next thing I need to do is now click on add multimedia instructions. So I'm going to click on that, and then I will show you how to carry on. To save time, I've created a template that you will use to show the students what the task is. Now it's very important that you actually do this, and I prefer doing this with a multimedia tool, so the students, you can actually model to the students what you're asking them to do. It's very important to create that scaffold, and SeeSaw is a perfect environment for you to do that. So what I would do now is I would make my video, and I would click on the record function here. So make this load up. We're going to start recording, and we're going to use the range of tools here. So click on start recording, goes red, we're recording, and I would tell the students they need to click on the move tool and select a word, a letter, and drag it down like this, and make a word and put them in the jar to make the word dig. And I would then get them to click on the pen tool and get them to record like you're doing, and circle the word and say the word dig. And obviously they can carry on, drag another letter down and choose the rhyme. Okay, this case we can make dog, we'll put it in the OG jar, click on the pen tool and draw around it, and so you're modeling to the students what you want them to do, dog, etc. And that's going to help support the students in what they're doing. And now once we've are happy with we've stopped recording, what we can do now is everything's good to go that we're happy to go with. We can preview it by clicking the play function, but if we're happy with it, we're going to click on the tick. and it will upload to the internet, and we'll just let that do its thing. So now we've started to build this up now. We've activity name, student instructions, and obviously for younger students and indeed for all students, having a teacher modeled example is always really good to do. The students can repeat this. Here's the student template, and now we need to type in the instructions. So I'm going to type the instructions in, and then I'm going to show you how to edit that. So now I've written the instructions to accompany the video I've already made, and obviously there's lots of text in here that the students are going to have difficulty reading. And so if you Google SeeSaw tool shortcuts, you'll find lots of images on the internet like this, and you'll notice that if you see these words here, if you put the word add, or if you put the word mic with colons either side of it, instead of the word, you'll get an icon. So we can now use this knowledge. So we're going to go through this now and change this. So rather than you just use the word move, we're going to put a colon at the beginning of move and at the end of move to write just to make words. Use the microphone tool. Well, we can't use the word microphone because we use mic, so we'll delete that and put colons at either end of that. To record you saying the word, and use the, click on this, pen tool. And so we use this now, and if we're happy with this, if we click save, what happens now is our activity is uploaded to our library. But can you now see we've got here the icons, so the students know what icons to look for. Even if they can't read all the words, they can recognize the icons. And this is how you design and make a activity in SeeSaw. But I want to show you an enhancement. So we're going to come back to this, and we're now going to click on here, and we're going back down to edit the activity. And we're going to come down to the template, because I think this is important. Click on this, it's going to open up. Now what you can do with each of these is that you can add a sound to each of these letters. So if you click this one and click on here, you can now add voice to this. So we want to make the sound of the letter. So we click on here, click on record voice, and just say B, B, tick. And let's do here the same thing. Click on here, put that, unlock it. Oh, no, done the wrong one. It's just this, let's drag this one over here. Click on this, voice. At. And now, let's just put all this back together after I've destroyed it and lock this in place. And so obviously once we're doing this after the effect, but if I now duplicate this, I will get the duplicated sound as well. So although I wouldn't recommend you do this last, because you have to do it, you have to say B all the times you made a new tile, but do it at the beginning of making your tiles. So we can put this up here, and when the students know that there's a sound attached to it, you can again scaffold them again. Let's click on this, voice, and just say B, B. Click on this one, at. So now we can, without all my preamble in there, we can drag these down here and test, voice, and just say B, at. So the students have been scaffolded through that task, and that's another way of enhancing the activity, again, to scaffold the students to make sure they have a higher level of success at the task that you set for them in SeeSaw without you having to sit and be with them all the time. The aim is to try and make these activities as independent of you as possible, but at the same time making the students as accountable as possible for the task that you've set them to do. And when you're happy with the edits that you've made, you click on the tick again, and you click on save. And now, once you've got your activity here, it's ready, it's in your library. You can click on assign, and you can assign the class it's going to go to. You can either send it to the entire class, so assign to one class, or I'm going to edit. Let's click on here. I can edit the students, and I can choose, so I can differentiate the particular students I want this particular activity to be done by. It can be done by all students, but SeeSaw will keep track and make sure that the 3 students you wanted to get it done have done it. So Once you're happy with that, you can click on the tick and assign to class, and that's now been assigned to those 3 students, and your activity has been created and distributed to the appropriate students in your classroom.